I arrived at my parents' house for Christmas. Dinner with a simple fruit basket in hand, the kind that costs $20 at a grocery store and doesn't try to impress anyone. My sister Rebecca pulled up beside me in her leased BMW, trunk opening to reveal carefully wrapped gifts stacked like a showroom display. She looked me over and smiled faintly. "Oh, Emma, still keeping it simple, I see." I smiled back but didn't respond. Rebecca had always been the success story. The corporate job, the designer home, the HOA presidency. I was the family's ongoing question mark, the one people lowered their voices about at gatherings, as if I might overhear disappointment. Inside, the house smelled like roasted turkey and nostalgia. The family was already assembled. Conversations paused when I stepped in. "Emma, glad you made it," my mother said, surprised as always. "We weren't sure you'd have time with your projects." "Wouldn't miss it," I said, placing my fruit basket beside Rebecca's mountain of gifts. My Uncle Richard was already halfway into the evening. "So Emma's still doing that internet thing?" "E-commerce," I said evenly. "Right," he chuckled. "My neighbor does that. Cute little hobby business." No one corrected him. No one asked further. Dinner unfolded like a familiar script. Rebecca held court about her magazine feature, 40 Under 40, glossy photos, professional lighting, 3-hour shoot. My parents glowed with pride. "That's real success," my father said, across the table. I became background noise when attention drifted to me. It came wrapped in concern. "You're still in that apartment downtown?" My aunt asked gently. "Yes, very practical," she said. Like practicality was a consolation prize for failure. My mother leaned toward me during dinner. "Have you thought about business classes? Maybe a real skill set?" "I worrying about you." "I'm doing fine." My brother Marcus laughed lightly. Emma always had big ideas. Remember the entrepreneurship phase? Everyone chuckled like it was a shared childhood memory instead of my life. By dessert, the pattern had solidified. Achievements everywhere except where I sat. Rebecca's renovations, Marcus's promotions, cousins' admissions. Each update sharpened the contrast. Then came the verdicts disguised as love. "You need to be realistic," Uncle Richard said. "Dreams are fine when you're young." "Emma's always been a dreamer," my aunt added softly. "Some people don't grow out of it." My mother's voice trembled with something like pity. "What will you do when you're older?" "Still in that apartment." My father didn't look up from his coffee. "This stops now." "You need a real job." Marcus nodded. "I can get you something entry-level. Customer service, maybe." The room agreed without saying the word agreement. Rebecca tilted her head. "Playing entrepreneur is fine, Emma, but it's been years." That was the moment the television in the background shifted programs. A news anchor's voice cut through the room. "Tonight, an exclusive feature: how a young entrepreneur built a global empire worth billions." No one listened at first. Then my name appeared. Emma Chen, founder and CEO of Lux Global Holdings. The room stopped breathing. The fruit basket suddenly felt very loud in my hands. The broadcast continued. Indifferent to the silence it was destroying. Factories, headquarters, international summits, headlines, my face on magazine covers. My company no longer a little online shop, but a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise employing tens of thousands. Current valuation, approximately $7.2 billion. The glass slipped from someone's hand. No one picked it up. Rebecca stared at the screen like it had insulted her personally. That can't be the same, Emma." But it was. My father finally spoke, voice thin. "Emma, is this real?" "Yes," I said. The word landed heavier than anything else that night. Phones came out, bugling, refreshing, confirming. Each search made the room smaller. Marcus went pale. "You're on the Forbes list." My uncle muttered something about jokes that no one laughed at. My mother sat down slowly. "We thought you were struggling." "I know," I said. Rebecca's voice cracked. "You let us think you were failing?" I looked at her. "You never asked if I was succeeding." That was the difference. None of them wanted to hear. The news crew arrived shortly after, unaware of the emotional wreckage waiting inside. We're here for a short family segment. The the producer said cheerfully. To show your roots, the irony hung in the air like smoke. Rebecca stiffened. We can't be on camera. I glanced at them, my family, suddenly aware of how they looked in their own narrative. No, I said calmly. You don't need to film this. The crew left. The silence stayed, and now the truth had nowhere to hide. My mother tried first. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. 3 hours ago, I interrupted gently. You called my life embarrassing. That's not what I meant. It's what you said. Marcus rubbed his face. We didn't know. You didn't ask. The room shifted again, less confident now, more defensive. Rebecca snapped. You deceived us. No, I said. You assumed I was small. I just didn't correct you. That distinction hurt them more than any accusation I could have made. My father tried again. We were concerned about you. No, I said quietly. You were comfortable being right about me. No one responded to that. And that silence told me everything. Eventually I stood. I built my life without your belief, I said. And I learned something from that. My hand rested on the door. You don't have to understand my success, but you should have respected my humanity before you knew about it. Rebecca's voice broke. So what happens now? That's up to you, I said. My mother whispered. Are we still your family? I paused. I don't know yet, I said honestly. But family isn't supposed to require a balance sheet to earn respect. Then I left. Outside. The cold air felt cleaner than the house behind me. My phone lit up before I even reached the car. Apologies, check, regret. But one question kept echoing louder than the rest. Would any of this have been said if I were still the person they thought I was? I already knew the answer. So I silenced the phone and drove home to my quiet apartment and changed. Unimpressive, exactly as it had always been. Except now, finally, it didn't feel small anymore.